Today, I am going to be talking to you all about the C word. That's right, I am diving into that most magical and often most stressful time of the year. Because yet, Christmas is coming up fast, and if you are anything like me, you can often find it really overwhelming. As a small business owner and a mum, I know that juggle all too well. When the to-do list feels endless, and yet you still want to take a break and enjoy the holiday magic, enjoy your hard work, and actually take a break. But if there is one thing I have learned over the years, it's this. The busyness never really stops, does it? So what can we do instead? What can we do to make it more manageable for us? Well, what we have to do is figure out what balls we can safely drop to stay sane. And whilst it's tempting for that ball to be social media, which I see lots of small business owners do, I'd say that's one ball you really want to keep in play, especially if you have worked hard to be consistent and present on your socials this year, if you need to make sales in December, or if you want to hit the ground running in January to make sales then. Don't let your hard work go to waste. There are ways that you can do it without feeling really overwhelmed. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. I am going to share a few strategies, some tips and advice to help you manage your socials in a way that keeps you visible over Christmas, but also allows you to enjoy your break and have some time off too. But before I dive into any of that, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to tune in, to show up and be heard. The podcast exists to help women like you simplify your business and your life so that you can stop feeling so overwhelmed, because that is what it's all about. I am your host, Becci McAvoy, owner and founder of Be Heard Socials, and I am an award-winning social media marketer and international speaker who specialises in content strategy and organic growth on social media, and who bloody loves boundaries. If you want to cut through the noise and BS and get practical, actionable advice tailored specifically to make social media marketing accessible and easy to understand, or if you want to be part of a supportive community where women entrepreneurs can feel connected and inspired to achieve their dreams, then keep listening, because you are in the right place. To be the first to find out when new episodes go live and to get more tips like the ones you hear in this podcast, make sure you join my email community through the link in the show notes. And whether you have followed me for a while or you're brand new here, I am so grateful for you. Right then, let's get started with this week's episode and let's figure out how we can enjoy Christmas and make it manageable. Okay, so I will be honest with you. I love Christmas. Like, I am that person that just loves it. I absolutely love everything about Christmas, but I'm also that person that doesn't like talking about it too early. I'm not the person that wants to go all out in November, get decorations up early, all that kind of stuff. Like, December is all about Christmas for me. Absolutely everything Christmas. Like, from the 1st of December, I want my festive nails done. I want the decorations up. I want all the fun stuff. But it's a December thing. It's always been a December thing for me. However, out of lack of choice, if anything else, since becoming a mum 10 years ago and a business owner 5 years ago, I mean, 10 years ago, that is actually insane. Anyway, yeah, since becoming a mum and a small business owner, I've kind of had to accept that if I want to give my children the Christmas that I love and that they will love too, and if I want a stress-free Christmas and to be able to take a break and do all of that kind of stuff whilst keeping my mental health balanced and intact, then I need to start thinking about it earlier. I don't necessarily need to get my decorations up. That still doesn't happen, but I do need to start thinking about it earlier, because there is just so much to plan and do. So yeah, like it has to be done earlier. And that is why I am possibly reluctantly, but also importantly, talking to you about this at the beginning of November. So yeah, planning is crucial to having a successful Christmas. And that's what I'm going to talk about first in terms of having your socials ready and all of that kind of stuff. So let's talk about planning in relation to showing up on your socials over Christmas and surviving it as a small business owner. So the first step for me to taking a true holiday break is knowing exactly what content to put out there whilst I'm off celebrating. And I know it sounds really obvious, but honestly, it's a real game changer. So think of it like setting yourself up for peace of mind. You can batch create your content well in advance and then schedule it to keep that steady stream of posts going. Now, it can be difficult, like if you're like me, to get into the mindset of Christmas when you're juggling other things and you're not necessarily actually wanting to get in the headspace for Christmas. So it can be difficult to think about what to post and all that kind of stuff. So, what kind of content works best? Well, for Christmas, you could stick to posts that don't demand immediate engagement from you. So, things like quick brand reminders or festive images that give a little bit of holiday cheer. And on that note, something to keep in mind while planning your Christmas content, what I said about it not necessarily demanding you to be able to reply to it, you really want to keep in mind your call to actions. So if you're thinking about taking time off, it's best to avoid call to actions that invite people to comment or ask questions, especially, like I said, if you want to take time off and if you're not going to be around to reply. Because whilst engagement is amazing, and there's been episodes around the importance of engagement, how important it is and how to do it, I will link to that in the show notes. It's also, if you want to stay sane and have boundaries in place and all that kind of stuff, is to set realistic expectations for your audience. So rather than having posts that encourage people to comment and then you ghost them, and asking questions at the end of it to encourage them to comment, try using call to actions that don't require a response. So, for example, you could still encourage engagement, but you could think about the types of engagement that don't need you to be about in that moment, to not ghost the people that are getting involved with your content, basically. So it could be things like save this post for later. It could be double tap if this resonates. It would be amazing to have shareable content, because obviously that puts you out in front of other people's audience. So share this post if you agree, or share this post if you can relate, or whatever it might be. Because really simple things like this help to keep your engagement strong without the added pressure of needing to reply. And it's a little detail, but it really helps in managing your social presence over the holidays. So yeah, think about, like I said, that content that doesn't demand an immediate engagement from you, and think about those brand reminders or festive images, and things like that. Now, if you are feeling a little stuck on ideas, you could also take a look at what has worked well for you in the past and use those insights to guide you. So whether it's through a scheduler that you use that gives you insights, or the in-app that all the social media platforms have to give you insights, use those to guide you as to what has worked well. There is no need to reinvent the wheel. Some posts you shared last Christmas, or even popular posts from recent popular posts from recent months, can serve as a great template for content to put out of Christmas to make it nice and quick and easy for you. I'm going to talk to you about some specifics too if you are struggling. So I'm going to give you some specific festive content ideas to keep your socials active while you are sipping your Baileys or mulled wine, or maybe indulging in a little too much Quality Street or Heroes. Heroes is my favourite. I don't know which yours is. In fact, let me know, because I'm here to talk about chocolate. But yeah, whether you are indulging in a little bit too much Baileys or mulled wine or Quality Street or Heroes, whatever your preference is, there's no judgment here. But if you've got your content going out, then you can do that guilt-free. So some specific content ideas. Number one, this one's super important. Talk about your opening hours. Let your customers know when they can expect replies from you. Will you be taking a few days off entirely? Just be clear and honest about it, and people will respect that. And when I'm talking about, when I'm talking about opening hours, I'm not necessarily talking about, like, if you don't have physical opening hours, it's talking about your working hours and when you're going to be about. And like I said, it's just all about managing expectations and telling people what that is. So if you're not going to be around, they know that, and they know not to expect a reply. So yeah, you can do a post about your opening hours or your working hours and let people know what to expect from you over the Christmas period. Number two, as a specific idea, you could have a little bit of fun. You could do posts that optimize for engagement. So when thinking about my boss framework, which I will link to the episode about that in the show notes, so you can find out more about it. These are the posts that optimize for engagement. So you could do things like a this or that type thing. And Christmas is all about opinions, isn't it? Like, I started this podcast by saying I am not the kind of person who wants to think about Christmas too early, but I have got friends who will be on Christmas from like October. Some of them will be shopping for Christmas presents like in the summer. And I aspire to be more that kind of person, but that's not me. But that's not because I've got it right. That's just how I am. So yeah, you could do this or that post, like exactly what I've just said. Are you like as much Christmas as possible kind of person, or are you someone who likes it in December, loves it but likes it in December? Are you someone who doesn't like it at all? You could ask those kind of questions. You could ask sprouts or no sprouts on your plate. These sound really silly, but they get people talking, and they get people sort of engaged and involved in your content. Now, obviously, I've said earlier about the call to action type stuff, but you can share this post earlier in the month when you are actually about, and just get to know your audience a bit and start those conversations. It could be things about, do you still have an advent calendar as an adult, or like advent calendar or no advent calendar? There's tons of ideas in there that you can do for this or that type post, which can be really fun to get opinions from your audience. But like I said, just make sure that when you're asking questions like that, if you are asking like a question that encourages engagement and conversation, all that kind of stuff, do it at a time that you are actually going to be around to talk about it. Okay, so another specific idea for content to put out over the Christmas period, you can share some behind the scenes magic. Show the chaos and the fun, whether it's wrapping up orders or prepping your own home for Christmas. This makes your content feel authentic and personal. And even if you're batching it in advance, you will generally know what you're like at Christmas, and you'll generally know like what's going on for your business at certain times. So don't feel that it's inauthentic to plan that and prepare that early and get it batched and scheduled, because as long as it is true to you, it can just show a really fun side of it. I often talk about Christmas traditions that I have with my kids, because like I said, I love Christmas and I love our Christmas traditions, and I have an audience who has lots of mums in it, so it can start lots of conversations. I can get new ideas, they can share theirs with me, and I can also inspire them with ideas too. So yeah, it can be business or personal, but show some behind the scenes magic, because that's a really nice way to make your content feel authentic and personal, and seasonal for the time of year. So yeah, those are 3 specific ideas. Let me give you a few more. So you could also talk about lessons that you have learned this year. So some people love just doing a bit of a review and get very reflective at this time of year. And so talking about your lessons learned this year can be something people love, especially as the new year approaches. So yeah, you can do that. And it also gives you a chance to show off some brilliant things that you've done this year as well. You could share your business goals or your personal goals for next year, for 2025, because people love supporting businesses with a clear vision and knowing what's coming. So you can start to put some teasers in place for new products or services that might be coming, for example. That's something I have been doing recently. So yeah, share your business goals for next year as well, or share some of your personal goals too. Can be a really great one to do. Like I said, you can also announce any new products or services you'll be launching in January, because it's a great way to build anticipation about things that are coming as well. And if you want, and if it's appropriate, you can have wait lists set up if people want to be the first to hear about it, all that kind of stuff. So even if you don't have something to sell, it can be really great just to sort of build that awareness and get people interested in it, so for when you are ready to get to that point of selling. Another thing you could do is thank your customers and followers, because this time of year is a really great time to express gratitude as well. So yeah, thank them for supporting you on your socials, however they supported you, whether it's on your socials, whether it's buying from you, whether it's cheering you on, whatever it might be. You can do some posts around just a thank you post, like a really nice thank you post. And of course, you could also shout out other small businesses that you love. It's a really nice gesture, and it shows your support for the community. So if there's businesses who have really supported you this year, you can shout them out. Or it might be businesses that have seasonal based products and services, and you can give them a shout out too, because there is always that collaboration over competition, community over competition every single time. So that's a really nice post to do at this time of year as well. So with these in mind, you've got at least, how many have I given you there? Let me think. It was at least 8 or 9 maybe. So you've got great ideas to spread throughout December, because remember, you don't need to be posting every single day, and into early January too if you want to. So yeah, that planning is really, really important. Get that planned out, get that content batch created. And then once you have everything planned and created, get it scheduled so you are free to enjoy that festive cheer, knowing that your socials are in safe hands and you are still going to be visible. And I just want to say on this something that somebody said to me over the summer. Now, I took all of August off, and they said to me, it was one of my members, and they were like, it doesn't feel like you've taken any time off because you've been so active on socials. And that was love. And she actually said, which I guess is exactly what you preach, isn't it? Get your content scheduled so that you're still out there and visible and whatever. Now, what was really interesting about that for me is I did take August off, and I didn't really do any of the engagement where it's encouraging comments and stuff for reasons that I said earlier. I wasn't really showing up on my stories or anything. But for her, she felt like I hadn't really taken the time off and I was still visible. So it goes to show that this really matters and really important, because you can take that time off without the guilt and knowing that you are going to get yourself out there. So the next thing that I want to talk about is scheduling, just very, very briefly. Obviously, I've mentioned it there, but I just want to re-emphasize that as well. When you know what you're posting and you've got it created, you want to make sure that it actually gets posted. So if you're not already using a scheduler, I have talked about this in many a podcast now. It's something I really, really recommend. It's one of the best ways to reduce the overwhelm. Even if you're not scheduling like a whole month ahead, even if it's just a few days ahead or a week ahead, there's something about using a scheduler that is just game changing. So if you're not using one, I really, really urge you to give it a try. And this is a perfect time to start because you're wanting to take a break. Now, I personally use Metrical, and I've spoken about that in detail in other episodes. I believe it was the episode about consistency. So I will link to that episode in the show notes so you can listen back to it if you want to. I love Metrical. I won't go into detail about it now because, like I said, I have gone into lots of detail about it before, but there's loads of great ones out there that you can check out. I will link Metrical in the show notes because there is a brilliant free version on it if you want to give it a go. But like I said, there's loads of options out there. The most important thing is get it scheduled. Get it scheduled. Get it scheduled. I will talk about that. That is a hill I will die on, that it is game changing for reducing that overwhelm. Which one you like will be your personal preference. You suss that out, but I will link to Metrical in the show notes. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about, and I touched on this a little bit earlier, but again, I just want to come back to it, is managing expectations. So be sure to let your community, your followers, your audience know that you're going to be a little bit quieter over the holidays, if you're going to be a little bit quieter, or if you're not, because there's no judgment here. It's about what's right for you. Let them know that as well. The main thing is letting people know in advance what to expect really helps manage your expectations. And if you are going to take some time off, letting people know in advance that replies might be delayed, or you might take a little bit longer to get back to them. It shows that you respect their time too. And if they are going to get frustrated that they've waited 3 days for a response from you, if you've told them that you're off, I've said this before and I will say it again, that's a red flag for me. And it's okay if you have been really clear in your communication that you're not going to be about. It's on them that they're getting annoyed about it, not on you. So yeah, just communicate whatever it is that you're doing in advance. Because honestly, believe me, I say that's a red flag, but 99.9% of people will appreciate your honesty. They don't want you burning out. They don't want you spending your Christmas day replying to comments from a hotel room or a family gathering or a holiday, wherever you might be. So a quick message letting them know you'll be away will set the right tone and ensure they are on the same page as you. You can do this through your content. So you can put posts about what to expect and you can pin that content if you want to, or you can also set up auto responses. So if people are DMing you, they get an away message or an out of office message, whatever it might be. You can set these messages through the platforms, or the platforms all have some kind of away message. I think on LinkedIn, you might have to pay for the premium version to get that, but I'm not 100% certain. But Meta certainly allows you to do that for free. Or you can use tools such as ManyChat, which I can link to in the show notes too. ManyChat is an automation system where it's like a chatbot system. So if somebody comments a specific thing on your post, they instantly get sent a direct message or whatever you might have set up. Or you can set auto responses to DMs as well. So ManyChat, I use it. It's really great. I really like it. It's pretty reasonably priced as well. I will link to that in the show notes if you want to check it out. That's another way you can do that as well. So these kind of things, setting the away messages and putting content out to let people know what to expect and pinning that content, whatever it might be, is a really small thing, but it goes a long way in managing customer expectations and your sanity whilst you are offline. So you don't have to be panicking and feeling like you need to check in. Checking in if you want to can be completely on your terms. So yeah, that's all about managing expectations, but that also comes back to the point that I talk about a lot on having boundaries, because having boundaries does not make you less professional. It makes you more professional. So don't be afraid to do that. Okay, so the final thing that I am going to say is if you are still finding all of this overwhelming, you are not alone, because socials can be a lot to juggle, and asking for help is really important. And I feel like this is a particularly good time of year to talk about that, because we can be afraid to ask for help, but it's okay to ask for help. And I repeat that, it is okay to ask for help. So whether that be from friends or family to help you out with stuff, or investing in business support. Now, this is exactly what my membership, the Boss Your Socials Club, is here for, in respect of what we're talking about today and getting help around that. It gives you a detailed content plan with content prompts to use. So I've given you some in here, but this will give you a detailed content plan, content prompts to use with descriptions of how to use them, links to inspiration of posts that I have created to give you a bit of a creative nudge if you're struggling with it. Gives you call to action advice, gives you image advice, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it gives you a detailed content plan to lighten the mental load. Also has an expert on hand to answer questions as they come up. That is me. It has the best community cheering you on. Honestly, I'm not lying when I say it. They are the best community of women who want to see you do well. And it gives you the accountability to get it done too. We have our accountability and action sessions where we all create our content together. So if you are finding, or you find that staying consistent on your socials is really overwhelming, and even after listening to this today, you just want a bit of extra help, then have a think about joining. I will put the link in the show notes for you to find out more and sign up if you want to. Okay, so there you have it. I hope these tips and content ideas and advice helps you to plan ahead. Keep that content planning. Oh God, I cannot get words out today. Keep that content flowing, and most importantly, help you to enjoy a well-deserved Christmas break. Remember, more than anything, the holiday season should be a time to relax and recharge. So get that content scheduled, pour yourself a festive drink, and have a wonderful, wonderful time. Thank you so much for listening to Show Up and Be Heard, but please don't go without telling me your name. I genuinely love meeting new people and making new connections. So if you don't already, I'd love it if you'd come find me on Instagram, LinkedIn or Facebook and drop me a message to say hello and let me know what you thought of the episode. The link to all my socials are in the show notes. And of course, if you enjoyed this episode or found it useful, then I'd really appreciate it if you could take just a few minutes to give it a review on whatever platform you are listening on, because every one I get really does make me do a little squeal and a big happy dance. Finally, more than anything else, please always remember, realising that you're not actually meant to do this stuff alone is the first step to making it easier. So I'll see you next time.